3 rounds of discussion with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first from a Zoom call in Columbia, South Carolina, Matthew, aka the Unbreakable Spirit. And his opponent from a Zoom call in Atlanta, Georgia, Daniel, aka the Executioner. Take it away, Matthew.
Thank you, Jesse, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone. This is episode 107 of At Odds with the Unbreakable Spirit.
I'm the Executioner, Daniel Travels.
Yes, I'm the Matthew Smith, aka the Unbreakable Spirit. It's hard to believe we've been doing this officially for over 2 years now.
Goddamn. Anyway, let's jump in this shit.
Yeah, let's run through the topics.
Topic number 1.
Topic numero uno. Vince McMahon sells 8.4 million TKO Group Holdings shares at $76.41 each.
Number 2.
Cody Rhodes teases the return of the Viper Randy Orton.
Number 3.
AEW's ex-WWE superstar overflow. But first, topic number 1. Comrade?
Well, Vince McMahon is sharing his stocks. I will say this kind of a bit random, honestly.
He wasn't sharing them, he was selling them.
I know, right. It's still a bit kind of like an out of nowhere thing.
I mean, he's making money, so you know how it is.
Yeah, true.
Do I think it's a good thing? Not necessarily, if I'm being honest.
Why do you say that?
Because what if someone who had... It just seems like it would give him less power in the company. And to put that in perspective, currently Vince McMahon only holds like 12%.
Yeah. I've heard things about like Endeavor wanting to kick Vince McMahon out.
Yeah, like that's been going on for a while. And I'm surprised Endeavor even kept him on after the merger, considering like the scandal which we covered on a previous episode.
Yeah. My honest take on this whole Vince McMahon thing is it is going to be interesting and to see what exactly happens. I am wondering honestly of who. I'm wondering if he sold it to other people like in Endeavor, or like who bought his stocks is the question.
Yeah, that is a good point. But the price amount, if I remember, I'm looking at our outline, is 76.41 for stock in a globally traded public company like WWE.
Worth multi-billion dollars?
Yeah, that's pretty
Oh,
cheap when you think about it.
yeah.
I'm not saying we're investing in the stock market, and I definitely would not. I almost failed economics in high school.
I mean, my honest take on the whole Vince McMahon, another take is you would. What I heard about the whole Vince McMahon stock, I thought that his stock would at least be, with two of the most powerful companies on the planet. You would think it'd be worth like a couple, like I don't know, $100.
Yeah. And still, that's pretty cheap for WWE.
Yeah. What's your take on this?
my take is, I mean, we're not monetary experts. We don't we're not that. Sometimes I'm really stupid with my money, so I don't feel like I have a leg to stand on when it comes to what Vince does. But
But
selling, but he apparently got in serious trouble with Endeavor when it was discovered he was the one doing it. Because at first it was just like a mystery person. And to find out it's the former chief executive officer of WWE, that
that,
gotta not look very good.
that raises a lot of because to me the whole crazy thing is like to me what's crazy is Vince McMahon, the guy who basically gave this company, the popularity that it is today, is you would think that Vince McMahon, from everything we know about this guy, wouldn't want to sell his company.
Yeah,
To be 100% honest, like to me, it's just mind-boggling to me that
that Vince sold in the first place.
yeah. To be 100% honest, yes.
I'm in the same boat as you with that.
But like selling his stock, I mean, how long have we got left on the timer, by the way?
A minute, like a minute 10 right now.
Okay, just thought I'd ask. Um, my honest take on the whole Vince on the another thing to add on to the whole Vincent Kennedy McMahon thing is, hey, if Vince wants to sell his stocks, that's interesting. Now I don't know if we're gonna cover this down the road, but it is still a very it's very random and very out of nowhere.
Yeah, but since we've covered Vince in the past, it's definitely an option to return to, but we are not smart in this type of stuff in any way.
Nah. But my honest, but I thought before I said it's just what Vince does with this company is like I don't know. It should be interesting. What do you got on this shit?
Oh, I'm gonna have to wait a bit because it's time for the final thoughts of the segment. And since this is your topic, you can start off.
All right, my absolute final thoughts are: it is sort of surprising to me, to be 100% honest, that Vince would decide to sell his stock, unless Vince McMahon doesn't really want to run the WWE anymore, and maybe that's why he sold his company in the first place.
Yeah, my final thoughts are Vince has made some questionable decisions when it comes to the fate of WWE in recent days. And if this is the thing that gets Endeavor to give Vince the boot, then by all means do it. But until then, we have other things to discuss. We'll be right back with topic 2. And we are back with topic number 2. Cody Rhodes teased a Randy Orton return after Monday Night Raw. I will admit I have not seen the video of this.
But what's your thoughts on on Randy Orton returning at Survivor Series?
I mean, the Judgment Day has The 4 male members of Drew McIntyre for their War Games team. Seems like the American Nightmare needs to call up his old mentor and the master of the out of nowhere cutter to even the odds.
Yeah, but my to be 100% honest, my take on the whole Randy Orton, on the whole Cody Rhodes, he said that, hey, I need to call on a friend, an old friend of mine, but it's just my
For all we know,
question.
he could have been referencing CM Punk when you think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I've heard
So,
the rumors have shifted from Punk returning at Survivor Series to Royal Rumble.
yeah, my honest take on Randy Orton returning is it's great to see if Randy Orton returns, but I'm honestly wondering how long are they going to have him stay as a babyface or not?
Depends on how the crowd reaction goes, I guess.
Yeah, because like I've said in the past, with Triple H having the history that Triple H does with Randy Orton, if there's anybody that can get Randy Orton even more to be one of the top heels in WWE, it's Triple H.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, my honest, don't get me wrong, if Randy Orton does return at Survivor Series, great. But my question is Randy Orton going to be full time or is Randy Orton going to be a part timer?
I think it's about time for Randy to shift to part time, to be honest. I'm not saying I don't like seeing Randy Orton every week, but I think it's about with the state he's in physically, it might be time for him to start shifting to only part time.
Yeah.
Just for like the sake of him, for his well being.
Fair enough. My honest take is if Randy Orton does, if Randy Orton is the return, I honestly think that they should keep. Like, I think what should happen at Survivor Series is this: every single member of, almost every member of, you know, full Team Judgment Day's in there, and Team Cody or whatever Team Babyface has one more member left, and then War Games hasn't begun yet. And I would have Randy be the last member, but nobody know.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have him in the shark cage.
Yeah, nom nom nom.
Yeah, treat him like Kevin Owens when he was the surprise final member of the NXT War Games match.
That is true. Exactly. Just be like, yeah. If Randy Orton does this thing, when Randy Orton returns, oh, don't get me wrong, it will probably get the pop of the night. Maybe.
Yeah.
But my genuine, and this is another honest question.
I just thought of a way he could turn heel that keeps him babyface for the extent of the match.
Okay, you have my intrigue.
So, the Randy Orton's the final member of Team Cody or whatever.
Uh huh.
And they clean house during the match. They win the War Games. Judgment Day is down at ringside. The cage has already been lifted. Cody, Jay, and Sammy are celebrating outside the ring, or they've already gone backstage. It's only Randy and Seth left in the ring. Randy, true to what is said, whenever it happens, RKO out of nowhere on Seth Rollins. Then Damian Priest comes and cash in.
Oh, that bro. Damien just walk and be like, turn around and be like,
I guess I can cash in now.
just turn around and be like, hey, JD, give me the briefcase. You just walk into the ring and be like, and the referee be like, what are you doing? I'm cashing in. What the hell are you doing?
I just said I'm cashing in. I don't know why I would have did this, but screw it. If he gives us more titles, I'm cashing in.
Yeah. My question is, if Randy Orton goes to Raw, and this is a genuine question, should Randy Orton be the guy to dethrone Seth Rollins?
Does he need another world title? He's like what, 13 or 14-time world champion?
14.
14? Alright, final thoughts.
You go first.
If Randy does return, turn him heel after War Games because Randy is so good whether he's babyface or heel, but he's just better as a heel.
Yeah.
Because, he's got that third generation chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it works for Roman.
Yeah, Roman's I think he's also third gen. Because it's High Chief Peter, then it's one of the Wild Samoans, and then it's Roman.
Yeah.
But anyways, we got one more topic.
Hold on.
Right. I'm sorry. Your final thought.
My final thought is if I would like to see Randy Orton return. Don't get me wrong. I, as a fan of Randy Orton, would love to see Randy come back. And I do agree with you that Randy Orton could, be a baby face for that team and then turn heel after the match. That's my final thoughts.
All right, we'll be right back with the third and final topic.
Hello, everybody, and we are back with topic number 3. The AEW having too much WWE X superstars, and some of them not really doing shit.
Yeah, let's run through a few of them. Claudio Castagnoli, FK Cesaro, Jon Moxley, FKA Dean Ambrose. Hell, Renee Paquette, former Renee Young, is an interviewer.
Hell,
They also got people like Tony Storm, Ruby Soho, formerly Ruby Riott, Saraya, formerly Paige.
Ric Flair.
We can keep going. Andrade El Idolo.
Sting. Buddy Murphy. Keith Lee.
Malachi Black, formerly Aleister Black.
Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Matthews.
Right, Buddy Matthews.
But we're not here to list off random
Samoa
wrestler
Joe.
names.
Yeah, see, the problem that I have with AEW, and I'm just going to be 100% honest, is you have so much, we could literally spend this entire episode, if we honestly wanted to, just naming all the ex-WWE guys.
And some of them aren't doing diddly in AEW.
I mean, hell, Samoa Joe, and this is real, folks, became the longest reigning TV champion, beat Keith Lee. Keith Lee easily could have won, and then just vacated the title. That's a real thing that happened.
Yeah, and that was on Ring of Honor, I'm guessing, which...
No, that was on Dynamite.
Dynamite? Yeah, well, keep in mind, people, well, yes, Ring of Honor is a AEW property. There are still just That's a whole nother can of worms we've covered on a previous episode.
which we'll probably dive back into.
Like, I used to call Impact Wrestling a WWE graveyard. It seems like AEW is the new WWE graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah, to be 100% honest, I completely agree with you. Like, also, like with this being like an egg, with them having too many ex WWE guys, and I'm gonna be honest here.
Like, both the Hardys and Edge and Christian are currently in AEW.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is, I honestly feel like with AEW having too much ex WWE guys, to be 100% honest, they're going away from what made the company what it is, and they're turning into like, I don't
Yeah,
know
they're
what.
going away from the homegrown talent and relying on nostalgia to get views.
Yeah.
And the fact that AEW is doing that is making me kind of worried that they're going to fall into the place that many wrestling fans hold WWE in one day. That people are
Well,
just going to be like, oh, it's just another repetitive episode of AEW Dynamite. Yeah, screw it, I'll watch something else.
that is true, my friend. Like
It's like, oh, Kofi Kingston's fighting Randy Orton on Raw again? I'm gonna play video games.
That's not too. That's not too AEW guys.
Well, I know, I'm just saying, like, if AEW follows WWE, like, you know.
So,
Hey, they could end up AEW guys one day. We don't know.
that's true. But I feel like a better example would be, oh, it's Tony. It's
I was just saying, like, some fans view WWE the same way they may one day view AEW.
That's fair. Like for example, is like oh, you could have, I don't know, Adam Copeland. No. You could have like, not like, I don't know, because I honestly think that AEW, well, yes, they have way too many ex WWE guys. It's just sometimes they have the ex WWE guys do more than their own regular time, except for MJF, of course.
Yeah. And MJF might do the opposite. Because I heard AEW is trying their damnedest to keep MJF with AEW going into the bidding war of 2024.
Which we are definitely going to cover that shit.
Oh, for sure.
Because that is going to be a juicy topic, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
But anyway, to back on topic is
yeah.
AEW has another reason I'm saying why they have too many guys is not because they actually have too many ex WWE guys. It's just like you have so many ex WWE guys that some of them aren't even wrestling for championships.
Yeah, and now for the final thoughts.
My final thoughts is AEW has way too many ex WWE guys. Too many ex WWE guys that you might know them more by their that it might want to make you watch some of their WWE stuff when you see them versus their AEW shit, to be honest.
Yeah, and as for my final thoughts, what you just said is actually a very good point that we could cover if we ever return to this topic, which we probably will.
Yeah.
But I just think, like, in general, AEW has too many wrestlers because they own another completely different wrestling company, and they just have an overflow of talent, which, hell, we could cover next week before the Survivor Series prediction battle if you want to.
You know what? Fuck it.
But for now, we are out of time. Roll that outro. Thank you for listening to At Odds, hosted by the Unbreakable Spirit,
And the Executioner.
edited by the Unbreakable Spirit. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MTS_life_0126.
You can follow me on Instagram at DanTravis21, and you can also follow me on the Twitter at DanTheExecutioner21.
And you can follow the podcast at Odds Podcast. We'll be back next week with more debates and discussions. But until then, the Executioner and the Unbreakable Spirit will still be at odds.
Thank you, losers.